So with the Bakelite cabinet on the Airline AA5 pretty much all cleaned up except for some gunk still in the tuning control holes I got to deal with. The next and most important bit is going to be replacing the wonderful large chunk missing out of the right side of the cabinet. And we're going to be doing that with Bondo. Now, a lot of people like to use fiberglass resin as a means of building up strength, but fiberglass is also kind of expensive, and this pint of body filter is, like $8 at the hardware store. And I can use it for a lot of other repairs and damage on metal and whatnot, other than just this one cabinet. However, Bondo does need something to rest against. You can't just build it up and expect it to stay put and harden. It's not that good. So, in order to facilitate that, I went ahead and I created a backer for the material. Get my clamps off here. And I needed a relatively flexible material to use for the backer, obviously, so it could match the slight curvature of the cabinet. What I actually wound up doing was taking the junk power supply that I cut up for the wire, and the back of it had this wonderful mesh on it for ventilation. So I dremeled out a section just a bit bigger than the original hole, and then used Gorilla Glue to attach it and then press it in place. And then once I had it clamped, I used Gorilla Glue to fill in some of the little hexagonal points in there to provide some more bonding to it. And it actually did really well, and it is slightly bent to match the curvature, but sanding can help with that. So now I at least have something to put the Bondo against, and when it does squeeze in there, it should also bleed through some of these little parts and help bond to the rest of the cabinet on the inside for a little more strength. Won't be perfect. You drop it, yeah, it's probably going to break again, but I would hope that people will be a little more careful with their stuff in the future. So that's what I hope to do. And during the filling process, because there's so many of these little holes, I'll probably put some saran wrap behind here and then tape or something so that we don't get a lot of bleed through on these spots. And then once it's actually hardened, then we can peel that off and I can do the sanding and everything. And I also made sure that it didn't stick out too far, and the material needed to be thin enough so that when the antenna and backer go back into place, it's not going to interfere with that. The antenna on this model is actually slightly smaller than the outside diameter here, and these cabinets on the earlier models that had all octal tube sets, the antenna and backplane was actually press fit into these 4 holes here, whereas on the miniature 9-pin and 8-pin base tubes, they are using just a pair of chassis bolts, or the 3 chassis bolt locations, and then the antenna is permanently mounted to the chassis with a screw assembly, so it's a little bit smaller than the cabinet. But that means we can squeeze that in there nicely. So I'll go ahead and get some of that mixed up and start applying it on there and slowly smoothing it out. So see how that goes. Alright, so we're back with the cabinet for the Airline AA5. This is just a little short update here. I've got the area patched with Bondo. This did require 2 applications, as after the first sanding I actually got this section here a little bit too thin. I was trying to compare the width to the sides of it and make sure it was uniform all the way through, but I'm actually quite happy with the way it turned out. Bring that up here a little bit. It's going to require a little more touch-up. I'm going to get some of a Rust-Oleum sandable auto filler primer basically to go over the whole cabinet with to make sure everything's relatively flat. But I built up the edge here so that goes all the way to the edge cleanly. Everything on the curve feels pretty good, no major divots, it's all pretty smooth, and like I'd hoped, on the inside, light's not all that easy here. See that the Bondo has actually filled the webbing, the material that I used for a backer, pretty nicely, and to bond itself to the inside of the cabinet, and should make that pretty sturdy. So that's where we are. I'm excited to get this primed and ready to go. So that will be the next step, is to get a can of primer and get the cabinet all shot with a sandable coating. And then we'll look at doing the top coats in clear after that. Okay, so due to the lighting difficulties, trying to show off the work on this cabinet is a bit of a pain in the butt. I'm just using a fluorescent fixture anyway. So, I kind of skipped the whole primer process. I meant to capture that on film, but I kind of forgot to. So, sorry about that. Nothing truly exciting. I just got a can of Rust-Oleum automotive filler primer, and I gave the thing about 2 coats of it, try and get an even coating, both inside and out. Originally they didn't actually spray the inside of the cabinet. The only color that was in there was from overspray through the dial. But I went ahead and did the inside anyway, just to make the whole thing look nice and uniform, more or less. It's not like I'm actually going to go in there and comment on the poor quality of the finish on the inside. But the outside has been a little laborious, because the filler primer, unlike any other primer I've used, it actually creates, for one thing, it's a fairly thick coating, and it also creates a fairly uneven surface, probably to give good paint adhesion, but I didn't think to sand it initially. That's the whole point of the stuff, is to make it a sandable surface. And I just went ahead and threw the first top coat on there, which was a color that I had that was satin heirloom white. I don't know why they didn't bother calling it white. It looks like almond. I might as well just call it almond. So that didn't work. It was too old looking, so I went ahead and got some gloss Rust-Oleum white, which this looks more appropriate for what it would originally have been, which was the ivory paint code. And I think this is its 3rd coat now, and because my initial attempt wound up with a whole bunch of irregularities in the surface, I went over and I wet sanded the whole thing after that first top coat was on. And then I went back and I dealt with some other little spots that needed touch-ups, and I just redone the top here. So hopefully once this coat dries, I'm going to hit it up with a coat or 2 of clear, just to seal everything up really nicely. And then it should be ready to go. And if we look over here at the corner that had the chunk missing, well, I think it's fair to say that it is not too obvious that there was ever a piece missing there. I am quite pleased with that. Now there is a little bit of a dimple in there, a very tiny spot where I guess there was an air pocket or something and it didn't fill in all the way. But unless you go out there with a microscope, you're not really going to see it from a glance. Which means once this is done, I can finish up with the chassis. All that needs to be done there is to repair the tear in the cone, and I'm going to replace that one safety cap that I have to cobble together a modern value for. And it should be ready to go. I actually did an IF alignment on that, having rebuilt my signal generator, and confirmed that it was actually broadcasting at the correct frequencies using a modern solid-state stereo on the AM band to confirm that the oscillator was running right. So, all that being said and done, hopefully the next section of video will be the whole thing reassembled and playing.